I don't believe it, Miss Challoner. No matter what proof Jones thinks he's got. Cregan, a murderer. Dash it all, I might as well admit I killed Miller myself. To convict a man I've sailed with for more than 20 years, I need a lot more than the word of a wharf rat.
Passage of the Tangmar. The story of a ship and its cargo of death.
With you out of the way, Dirk Kendall, I'm in the clear. No one can tie me in with the murders, and your Colonel Hacking can search to his heart's content. He'll be looking for a Scots needle in a South American haystack.
Cregan was mad. He sat rocking back and forth in the chair opposite, where I lay, propped against his bunk, the gun cradled in his arms. The Tangmar plowed eastwards for Panama and Jamaica, only a few days from the canal, while I strained at the ropes on my wrists. Days were of no concern to me now. In 2 hours, I was scheduled to take a weighted swim downwards. The whole picture, the jigsaw of murder and horror, had fitted into place. But outside the brig, and unknown to me, Captain Goddard was faced with a puzzle he didn't want to admit he could solve. Cregan was talking again, leaning forward, almost drooling at the realization of how completely he'd fooled all of us.
You'll only be one more, Kendall, and one more won't make any difference, not now. The rest of them will join you. Only you won't be concerned with that.
And just how do you plan to do that?
You forced my hand. I haven't time to wait and dispose of them one by one. Oh, no, not anymore.
Just how do you see yourself? As some kind of avenging angel, killing on behalf of your murdered son and the wife you once loved? No, Cregan, all I can see is a maniacal old man. You've even forgotten the motive that started you killing. You kill for the satisfaction it gives you because you're...
Shut up! Do you hear me? Shut up!
Go ahead. Use the gun. Or have you suddenly realized that one shot will bring the whole ship's company racing to your cabin? Well, what are you waiting for, Cregan? Not Mulcahy, now, surely. He won't come. It'll be just as I said. He'll go to the captain. Confess his part in this whole monstrous scheme.
Go on. Go on. Talk all you want, Kendall. Whatever happens, you won't be here to know.
How are you going to finish them all off? Scuttle the ship? Send them to join me in Davy Jones' locker? What about Goddard? Your lifetime friend. How will you convince yourself that it was necessary for him to die? And the rest of the crew? And Jones, locked down in the brig, waiting to die? I hope while you're waiting for Hacking's hand to fall on your shoulder, you'll sleep well at night.
Aye, Jones. I was clever about Jones. I fooled you all. And you played right into my hands, Mr. Kendall. I knew Jones had asked you to talk with him, and I guessed why. You see, he saw me after the killing of Miller.
You mean he did know?
Why, of course he knew.
Then he wasn't...
Go on, Kendall. Finish it. Lying, was that what you were going to say? No, he wasn't. But he'd already accused the captain of murder. Then he tried to start a mutiny in the engine room. Who was going to take his word against mine, eh? All I had to do was rush to the bridge and tell Captain Goddard that Jones had accused me again. I knew I could leave the rest to John's righteous anger and your stupidity.
Let me tell you about Hacking, Mr.
Shut up
Cregan.
about Hacking!
But I want to tell you. You know, he never fails, no matter how long it takes. And in that musty office on the banks of the Thames, he'll go over and over this case. And he'll find you no matter how clever you are.
I said shut up.
Why did Jones keep it to himself for so long about you?
Because the fool was going to try and blackmail me. I knew that, and he knew that I knew. Jones is a lazy, ambitious man. Ambitious for money that his brain could never earn him. He would have been quite content to sit back and let me pay for his silence. Would you care for another cigarette, Mr. Kendall?
Yes, I need it.
How does it feel to know that you failed? That I was always that one step ahead of you?
Not pleasant.
Here's a light.
So it's to be South America, eh? After Panama or before it?
You know, this ship will never reach Panama. I have the lifeboat picked out, and I can make for any one of 100 ports where no questions will be asked.
To live with the memory of the most swinish crime ever committed on the high seas.
To live with a memory, Mr. Kendall, of the duty I discharged in wiping out all trace of the people who gained by my son's death.
Now will you believe me, Captain Goddard? You've admitted yourself that apart from Mr. Cregan's cabin, there isn't another place we can look. We're wasting valuable time. Dirk is in danger. We all saw Mr. Cregan lock the door of his cabin as he came out to talk to us.
I know that. But supposing we're wrong. How do you think I can explain to Cregan that I thought he was a killer? And on the word of Jones.
But Captain Goddard...
You keep out of this, Tuca. Your only interest is in making sure your record as a poisoner won't be held against you. If you can arrange for someone else to stand trial, then...
Captain Goddard, that's enough. Mr. Tucker has helped us search this ship.
All right, then. Perhaps Kendall met with an accident. Perhaps he did fall overboard.
Anything rather than face the truth. Is that it, Captain Goddard? Because you still refuse to believe that a member of your crew might be a murderer. It doesn't matter that Dr. Lawler is under arrest. The Dirk might be lying in your chief engineer's cabin. Nothing matters except that the scandal should be confined to the passengers' quarters. That way you can wash your hands of the whole thing. Your beloved Tangmar will still be the ship you've always known. And...
Now, wait a minute, Miss Challoner.
Wait? Oh, no, Captain Goddard. There's been enough waiting. Unless you agree to search Mr. Cregan's cabin now, then I shall go there alone.
It will be my privilege to escort you, Miss Challoner.
Captain Goddard, sir.
Oh, for heaven's sake, Mulcahy, do you have to pester me now? Can't you see I'm busy?
Oh, I think you should let me say what I have to, sir.
All right, man, what is it? Trouble of some kind?
In a way, sir. But before I tell you, you've got to agree to protect me, sir. To make sure that nothing happens to me.
What in the name of all that's... What is it, Sparks?
It's about Mr. Kendall, sir.
Kendall? You mean you found him? Good man. So I should search Cregan's cabin, eh, Miss Challoner? I should barge in there and accuse him.
Yes, sir. You should, sir.
What?
He is there, isn't he, Mr. Mulcahy?
Yes, miss. In the midnight, I'm supposed to knock on his door and help... Well, I'm supposed to help Mr. Cregan get rid of him.
Has he been hurt in any way? Dirk, I mean.
Not when I last saw him, miss. He was knocked about a bit in the wireless cabin, but apart from tying him up, I didn't really hurt him.
You were in on this, Mulcahy? In it with Cregan?
Not until yesterday, sir. You see, Mr. Cregan found out that I've been, smuggling, you see, sir, and, I had no choice but to do what he wanted. First, it was that message from London. You know, about Colonel Hacking saying that Cregan was Peter Slavin's father.
Slavin's father?
Yes, sir. Mr. Cregan made me fake a message to put him in the clear. Then he took it down and gave it to Mr. Kendall.
Well, Captain Goddard, you've got your proof. And this isn't the word of Jones.
You're relieved of duty, Mulcahy. Go to your cabin and stay there till I send for you.
No, wait, Captain Goddard. I've got a better idea.
Well, what do you want me to do with him, Tuca?
Quite simple, sir. Mr. Mulcahy is supposed to go to Mr. Cregan's cabin and help him to dispose of Mr. Kendall. Now, why don't we go along with Mr. Mulcahy and follow him in and overpower Mr. Cregan?
Oh, I couldn't do that, sir. Oh, I don't want no part of
For
this.
2 pins, I'd ram the Morse key down your lying throat, Mulcahy. You'll do as Mr. Tuca says, do you hear me?
Captain Goddard.
It's all right, Miss. I'm only getting a gun. To deal with a man like Cregan, I think I'll need it.
He's alive, Mr. Mulcahy. You're sure of that?
Miss Challoner, Mr. Tuca, I owe you both an apology. Now, if you're ready, let's go. Start walking, Mulcahy. And when you get to Cregan's cabin, knock and call out to him. I want him to unlock that door without suspecting anything.
Tell me, Cregan, who is the next one on your list? Major Challoner?
Who would miss him?
Then why not him instead of Ilona?
I was keeping him back. I watched him drinking to steady his nerves, drinking more every day while he hoped that he'd live long enough to get his hands on that money. I wanted him to reach the stage where he thought he was safe, and then... Wait a minute.
What's wrong, Cregan?
I thought I heard something. As if someone was creeping along the companionway.
You're imagining things, Cregan. There's no one out there. Do you mind ashing this cigarette for me?
Wait a minute. Don't say a word.
Nothing.
Aye. Well, perhaps not.
You know as well as I do that Mulcahy
I'm
won't
tired of
come.
talking with you. It's time you were gagged again, Kendall.
With a cigarette in my mouth?
You know, Kendall, I admire your courage. Here, let me take it.
This is for all of them!
Captain Goddard! Goddard, it's me, Kendall. I'm in Cregan's cabin. All right, Kendall, you ask for this. I'm going to kill you.
Cregan, it's Mulcahy. Have a look, quick. You want the old ship's company? No, I'm here.
My kick with bound feet had sent Cregan spinning back against the wall, but he was up in a moment, his hands groping over the cabin decking for the gun he dropped. And then Mulcahy knocked on the door. Whichever way it went, the gun or drowning, death seemed suddenly very close at that moment in this passage of the Tangmar.